All right, we're going to play an interesting game today. If the semifinals hadn't changed and it were the same as last year, Bill Leahy would be in, Rebecca Fuselier would be in. Who would be in if semifinals was the same setup that it was before and there were 40 people going? Additionally, I'm going to go through my top 10 list and answer the questions. Is Jeff Adler the fittest man alive now? And let's just assume that Tia is out. Who would we say is now the fittest woman alive right now at this moment? Who's in for the game so far? Who's out? And what events do we have left? And who do we see qualifying at those events? Let's get into it. But before that, I want to go through some viewer comments. EMCZDT, no one cares. To which I responded, your mom does. To which he responded, you spoke to my mom? Crying face? Now don't worry, she's not dead. I asked him. I was a little bit worried there for a second. At Slater417, you need to wipe down and dust your dresser. He's completely right. And you know what? I totally forgot to do that. I mean, honestly, shouldn't my wife be doing this? I don't know how it works, but I thought she was supposed to do the cooking and cleaning, and I just go to do a video, and this is all dusty. What am I supposed to do about that? There you go, Slater. All done. Of course, the always positive Jeff Bialco, Beocio, however you pronounce it. The filter on your face makes it look like AI. Get rid of it. First off, Jeff, I like you lately, but don't tell me what to do. There is no filter on my face.
What did you just call me? Say my name.
Tyler Durden.
I'm just actually this pretty. And the best comment, the real Kevin87. You need a she shed. Your videos just don't hit right. Your bed behind you on one side and your wife's clothing hanging on the other side. Your content is there.
That's a bingo.
So, hey, I love that you say my content is there, but I know they're pink and there's some leggings and stuff. Those are my clothes, actually. All right, now to the CrossFit stuff. I want to go down the men's leaderboard. We're going to make this snappy. No surprise that Adler's at the top. He's really just proving that he's picking up right where he left off after winning the 2023 CrossFit Games. He is the biggest competition to James Sprague, who, yes, is still actually the fittest man alive. Spoiler alert. We're going to get into the rankings, top 10 for the men here in a little bit. Coming in second, we've got Jay Crouch, who has been creeping up over the leaderboard through the years. I believe he was 12th last year, 8th before that, after being in the 20s the years before that. He's been looking really good, super fit. Could be the year that he really breaks through and potentially gets close to that podium type spot. Tudor Magna, home run hitter. No surprise here. A lot of people were predicting him to be in, and he is in. He was the first one out from the West Coast Classic last year. He's back in the CrossFit Games this year. And Sprague and Pepper, I skipped over them, but we knew they would be in. So Pepper's third, Sprague fourth. Really no surprise with the Adler, Crouch, Pepper, and Sprague. Hopper was fifth. Garrard had to redo a workout potentially to make it. The rumor was that he had 15 minutes on the overhead lunge workout. He redid it. He said he went, I think, 50 seconds faster, and he had around a 12:50. So more realistically, he was closer to 14, I believe. But with redoing that workout, he is in for the CrossFit Games. Medeiros 8th. Enrique Zanoni from Italy is 9th. I think that's their flag. Colin Bosshard is 10th. And Harry Lightfoot taking the last spot at 11th. Some notable names that are out. Chris Ibarra just missing it. He should have a great opportunity at TFX. I'll get into that in a second. Tom Kingdom has been knocking on the door. He's only 22 years old, so he's somebody to watch out for. Jack Rosema also just missing it at his 15th. He'll have his next shot at Syndicate. He is not in for NorCal, so it's Syndicate or last chance qualifier for Jack. Stick around to see where I predict Jack to be at Syndicate in those rankings. Sam Cornway, 15th. Samuel Quant, 17th. Nick Matthew was 18th. Hiller's boy, William Leahy, is 19th. Jorge Fernandez, 21st. Got Panchek and Stovall at 24th and 25th. Connor Volts is a name to watch out for. He's out of my home gym in Ohio. CrossFit Seoul, shout out to them. Travis Mayer, 32nd, and Ty Jenkins 36th. Some inside info on that. If you don't know, Ty doesn't do as good at online competitions as well as he does in person, so he will be a name to watch out for as he is in for both Syndicate and for NorCal. This could be the year that he breaks through and makes the games. He's only 19 years old, just turned 19, in fact. He is the 3-time Teens Game champion. Luke Parker all the way down at 39th. Drake Lewis 43rd. Focusing mostly on the North American athletes here. That's what I know most about. So if I skip some international athletes, we'll just let Brian Friend step in and he can give you all the info on that. The women's side, Ariel Lowen coming up with the victory. I know in the past that she said she really likes Boz's programming. Most people have found this semifinals to be very challenging, where sometimes they found Dave to have skewed a bit more cardio-based and less heavy in recent years. So looking at the meters on the row, I don't know if this has come out or not, but it seems like Boz has had a heavy hand in the programming for semifinals. He always likes doing the meter and rows, whereas it seems like Dave likes doing calories. Huge surprise, Sierra Mahai from Albania. And the only thing I know about from Albania is Lee. So yeah, great job there. We've got Alexis Raptis in third. Olivia Kerstetter, as predicted in my last video, taking fourth. She is an absolute beast. She is 19 years old. She's kind of right in that Ty Jenkins range, except on the female side, she is shooting up, taking fourth in the online semifinal. She is absolutely a name to watch out for going into the games, of somebody who can come in the top 10 and potentially even get to the podium. Annika Greer, Carolyn Stanley, Brooke Wells. Now, Andrew Hiller did bring up some not so great looking burpees on his Instagram today. So with penalties, we never know how this will shake up, but for now, Brooke Wells is in. Madeline Sturt, Danielle Brandon tied for ninth with Haley Adams, and then there is a tie at... Well, wait a second. There's no tie anymore. There was a tie at 11th. It was Gracie Walton and can't remember who now.
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
Well, it looks like Gracie Walton gets in. They've got Gracie at 11. I see Gracie Walton at 91. I see nobody else at 91. I don't remember who she was tied with at 11th, but there was going to be a question of what the tiebreaker is. I guess not. So Gracie Walton's in. Notable names that are out. Amy Kringle for now. Kyra Milligan, another one we've all seen on the Hiller documentary style movies. Erica Folo, Lexi Neely. Carolyn Prevost has looked fantastic all year. She could totally sneak into a spot with what she's got left. I think she's going to NorCal. I'll have to double check on where else she might be, but she is looking super fit, and I expect her to potentially vie for a game spot. And then all the way down at 43rd, we have Sydney Wells and Bethany Flores at 52nd. I heard she might have been having some back problems, so if she's healthy, she should be able to grab a spot at TFX. If she's not healthy, you just never know with her. All right, so next up, I want to talk about who would be in and who would be out if it was the 40 people making the CrossFit Games with the same setup as last year's semifinals. So you'd have 9 men out of the West, and when we look at Mayhem and we make sure to include the people who qualified there, I've got Colton Mertens as number 1 because he beat James Sprague at Mayhem, even though James Sprague was the highest out of the West in the online semifinal. Colton 1, James Sprague 2, Tudor Magna 3, Justin Medeiros 4, Chris Ibarra 5, Samuel Quant 6, Nick Matthew at 7, Bill Leahy at 8, and Mitchell Stevenson at 9. I don't think we realize just how many people are out between retirements like Brandon Luckett and Cole Sager and Brett Fikowski, Pat Vellner going to the WFP. But that is the list. If this was last year, Mitchell Stevenson would be in along with Bill Leahy, Nick Matthews, Sam Quant, Ibarra, Medeiros, Magna, Sprague, and Colton. In the East, the people that would be in tied for first because they both won their semifinals event, online semifinals for Adler and Mayhem for Austin Hatfield. They are tied for first out of 11 spots for the East. Dallin Pepper in third, Jason Hopper in fourth, Jack Rosema would have punched his ticket at 5th, although he is out right now. Samuel Corwaier at 6th. At 7th, Benoit Boulanger. 8th, Jorge Fernandez would be in for the first time as an individual for the games. Spencer Panchik would be in. Seth Stovall. And 11th, Connor Volts. I think he's 22, 23 years old. I mentioned earlier he's from my home gym in Ohio. He has been shooting up the leaderboards for a few years now, and he's definitely a name to watch out for. Out of the West, there were 8 spots for the women last year. The people that would be in would be Abigail Domet. Olivia Kerstetter would be 2nd. Annika Greer, Marissa Flowers, Sydney McLeishan, Janie Chevery, Allison Scudds, and the last qualifying spot would be Rebecca Fuselier. Out of the East, Fee Sagafi, Alexis Raptis, Carolyn Stanley, Brooke Wells, Haley Adams, Kyra Milligan would be in, even though she's out right now. Elsie Larson, Reese Littlewood, Nina V, not even going to try that. It's Vragovich, it's Vrakovich. Just DM Brian Friend, he knows. Brian Friend can tell you about the island of Malta. 10th, Elena Savage. He can tell you about the Amazonian tribe with the CrossFit box and tell you about the elves in the North Pole doing CrossFit and all the important issues of our day. And the last spot would be Erica Folo. And he does it all with a gimbal.
With a pencil.
All right, so what does this situation look like with the events that we have left? What we have left is TFX, Syndicate, NorCal, and the Last Chance Qualifier. In that order. At TFX, you've got Nate Ankerman, Jack Rosema, Nick Matthews, Seth Stovall, Spencer Panchik, Luke Parker, Jorge Fernandez, Travis Mayer, and Ty Jenkins. And at TFX, you've got Bill Leahy, Chris Ibarra, and Samuel Quant. So my prediction for Syndicate is Jack Rosema is squarely in. His Heavy Isabel alone will give him an immediate advantage, and he's been looking good all year. Out of all these names, he seems the most clear to take the top spot. I don't even know if Samuel Cornway is doing it. I thought he retired. He showed up at Mayhem. Now he's... I'm just going to assume he's out for now, and we're going to take him off the list and say it's between Jorge Fernandez and Ty Jenkins. I'm going to give this to Jorge. I believe Ty Jenkins is doing Syndicate, but he's indicated in the past on my podcast that his best path to victory is at NorCal, and I do agree with him on that. So we're going to say Jorge makes his first individual games experience along with Jack Rosema out of Syndicate. I know I just went out of order. TFX is actually in a couple weeks here and then Syndicate, but for TFX, which is essentially the West, I've got Bill Leahy and Chris Ibarra. Connor Volts is a name to look for to potentially play spoiler. NorCal, I'm going Nick Matthew and Ty Jenkins. For the Last Chance Qualifier, people vying for one spot will be Travis Mayer, Seth Stovall, Spencer Panchik, Samuel Quant, and so one of those guys.
He is the one.
TFX, Ariel, Domet, and Kerstetter have all qualified, so they will be out, leaving Emily Rolfe and Alex Gazan to qualify through there. Trista Smith, Rebecca Fuselier are names to look at. For Syndicate, we've got Erica Folo, Sydney Wells, Kyra Milligan, Lexi Neely, Shelby Neal. I've got Sydney Wells and Shelby Neal qualifying out of Syndicate, with Kyra and Erica Folo competing for the last spot at the Last Chance Qualifier, because at NorCal, I've got Andrea Solberg making it out of there. I don't know if she's involved in the French Throwdown or not, but either way, if she's there and has not qualified, I've got Andrea. And I'm picking Carolyn Prevost. Like I said, she's looked fit all year. She's a Masters athlete now, but I've got her in at NorCal. Potentially Hattie Canyo if she's healthy, but getting an MRI 6 weeks before the event, probably not looking good there. So the people that puts in are Jack Rosema, Jorge Fernandez, Bill Leahy, Chris Ibarra, Ty Jenkins, Nick Matthew, and I'm going to go with Connor Volts for the Last Chance Qualifier. For the women, Emily Rolfe, Alex Gazan, Andrea Solberg, Carolyn Prevost, Sydney Wells, Shelby Neal, and between Kyra Milligan, Erica Folo, Trista Smith, Rebecca Fusele, I'm going with Kyra Milligan to take the last spot. And lastly, I want to go with my rankings going into the CrossFit Games. I know we've got a few qualifying events left, but here are where the rankings stand right now. Is it John Young's Mountain? No, but maybe it'll be just as fun. For the men, the fittest man on earth is still James Sprague, of course.
He is fast. I'm faster.
Tied for second, I've got Adler and Pepper. In fourth, Austin Hatfield. Tied for fifth, Jason Hopper and Jay Crouch.
The only Bill I know is Bill, not the science guy.
Seventh, I've got Colton Mertens. Eighth, I've got Ricky Garrard. And ninth, I've got Justin Medeiros, although those two could kind of be interchangeable. I don't have a 10th because after these 9, I really see it being the second tier. I think all of these 9 are people who are capable of podiuming. Podiuming? Yeah, that's not a word, dude. Learn how to speak. For the women, the top 3 women that would be occupying these spots would be Tia, Laura Horvath, Gabby Magala. But we don't have any of them, as I'm assuming that Tia is out for now. I think the clear number 1 is Ariel Lowen. I wasn't sure, particularly with how she performed at WZA, but she looked great at Rogue, and then she crushes these difficult workouts. She's still got it. I've got Ariel Lowen at number 1 with probably her best chance to win the CrossFit Games. With those 3 out and her being 31 years old and having a family and openly talking about retirement at several points, I think this is the year to go all in. She's definitely got a chance at winning the CrossFit Games. Abigail Domit, I've got at 2, who's just looked fantastic. Really everywhere except for the CrossFit Games last year. She was a little bit of a letdown, but she's looked great ever since. Lucy Campbell at 3. She's just looked fantastic ever since coming back. Better than ever, better than before the injury. So I'm throwing her in there. Alexis Raptis at 4, who really could be higher, but I've mentioned in the past, I really just don't see that killer instinct during in-person competition. When you look at her body language and whatnot, it makes me concerned to whether she can really put her foot on the pedal and step on throats. Yeah, nothing like a good throat stepping. Brooke Wells at 5, Danielle Brandon at 6, Gracie Walton at 7, Haley Adams at 8, Fee Sagafi at 9, and Olivia Kerstetter at 10, although Olivia very well could be a lot higher. I'm just sneaking her in there because she's 19 years old and she's just starting to show the beginning of her potential, but do not be surprised if she finishes a lot higher. Well, I'm not going to draw this out any longer. It's going to get really interesting. It's super exciting with the new format. There are limited spots available and a lot of big names left. We've got TFX in just over 2 weeks. We've got Syndicate in 4 weeks, NorCal in 5 weeks, and then the Last Chance Qualifier. It should be interesting. Look forward to talking about the rest of the season with you guys. I will be at TFX. I will be at Syndicate. I might be at NorCal, and I might be at the games. I hope to see you guys there. You stay classy, San Diego. Shoot. You're absolutely terrible at endings. And by the way, you forgot Cale Lehman. 5th place in the world, and he's going to be at Syndicate. How do you forget Cale Lehman? And on that.
And he does wall balls, he does them on a tree.